All right, so you wanted to know what really makes managers decide to embrace telework. Well, we did a deep dive into the research, and, it turns out it's not as simple as just having the right tech.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right.
Oh.
Yeah, this 2024 study, it was from Human Resources Management and Services, and they focused on European companies. They found that managers' personal beliefs and even their skills actually play a huge role in whether or not they're going to go for telework.
So it's not just about, like, having Zoom and Slack. There's something more.
Exactly, yeah. It's deeper than that. The study uses this thing called the technology acceptance model.
Okay.
And it basically says, like, we're more likely to use something new if we think it's actually going to be useful to us, right?
Right.
And this is especially true when it comes to managers and how they think about telework.
Yeah. I mean, we all know that feeling, right? Like if a new tool makes our work life easier, we're all for it.
Mm-hmm.
But this study dug even deeper, right? Like what makes a manager see telework as quote unquote useful in the first place?
Well, they found 3 key factors.
Okay.
The first one is job relevance. So managers, they really need to be able to see how telework actually fits into their specific role.
Okay.
And if they think it's going to make their job harder, of course they're going to resist.
Yeah, that makes sense. No one wants to make their day more difficult. So what's the second factor then?
The second factor is social pressure.
Mm-hmm.
So if other managers, especially the ones they look up to, are all about telework, it suddenly becomes a lot more appealing.
Interesting.
Yeah, think of it like a new trend, If everyone's doing it, you don't want to be left behind.
Right, so it's not just about what one person believes, but the whole culture around them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And the third factor.
Yeah, what's number 3?
This one's huge, output quality.
Okay.
Managers need to trust their teams to deliver the same quality of work, or even better, when they're working remotely.
Oh, I see.
And the study actually found that this belief is a major driver. Like, if the manager believes that their team can deliver, they're way more likely to adopt telework.
So if a manager's always worried about things falling through the cracks, they're probably not going to be so keen on telework.
Yeah, it all comes down to trust. Trust in the team.
Makes sense.
And speaking of trust, the study highlighted something else too. This is where it gets pretty interesting.
Okay.
It's the importance of a manager's self-efficacy. That's basically their belief in their own abilities.
Okay, let's unpack that. What does a manager's self-confidence have to do with telework?
Well, the study found that a manager's self-confidence is actually the biggest predictor of whether they'll champion telework or not. Like, if they doubt their ability to lead a remote team effectively, they're way more likely to resist.
So even if their team is awesome and totally capable, the manager's own insecurities can be a roadblock.
Yeah, pretty much.
Wow, that's a big insight, especially for companies that are trying to encourage telework.
It is, and it leads us right into the specific skills that the study found are really important for managers in a telework setting.
Okay, I'm all ears. What are these magic skills that make a manager a telework champion?
Well, there are 2 key skill sets. First, digital team building. It's the ability to foster connection, keep people accountable, even in a virtual environment.
Right.
It's more than just scheduling a bunch of Zoom calls. It's about creating a team that feels cohesive online.
Yeah, so like creating that feeling of being a team, like that camaraderie, even when everyone's working from different places.
Exactly, yeah. And the second skill set that's really crucial is e-communication.
Okay.
And it's more than just knowing how to use email or chat apps, right? Yeah. It's about mastering how to communicate really clearly and effectively through all those digital channels.
So things like giving feedback, running meetings, even building relationships, it all has to happen through a screen.
Yeah, exactly. And those screens, they can lead to a lot of misinterpretation, right? Mm-hmm. Because you lose those little nuances that you get from body language or tone of voice, so every word really matters.
It's like you need to be even more careful and intentional with your communication when you're leading a remote team.
Absolutely, yeah. Like something you might just casually say in the office might require a well-thought-out email when you're communicating remotely.
Right. That makes sense.
And the study found that managers who are good at this, at e-communication, tend to be much more comfortable with telework.
Okay, that makes sense, yeah. This study focused on European companies.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think these findings would apply in other parts of the world too?
Oh, yeah. I think the core ideas are pretty universal,
Okay.
Remotely, the importance of clear communication, making sure there's strong team dynamics, even though everyone's virtual.
Right.
I mean, these are challenges and opportunities that everyone's facing, no matter where they are.
So it's not about the geography, really. It's more about, adjusting to a new way of working.
Exactly. And that's where the idea of social pressure comes back in, right?
Uh-huh.
As telework becomes more and more common, it's not seen as this weird or unusual thing anymore. It's
Right.
becoming the new normal.
So for managers who are maybe feeling a little unsure about telework, what advice would you give them based on this research?
I'd say, first of all, don't panic. It's a learning curve, and everyone's figuring it out as we go.
Right.
The key is to be proactive, like really embrace the chance to develop those digital leadership skills we were talking about.
So like seeking out training or resources specifically on how to lead remote teams.
Exactly. Yeah. And really focusing on honing those skills.
Yeah.
I mean, there are so many resources out there now, like books, articles. You can even find courses online.
Right.
Or even just connecting with other managers who are already doing this well, leading remote teams effectively.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Just be open to learning new approaches and adapting your leadership style to this new environment.
So it's not just about managing tasks remotely. It's about figuring out how to lead people in a way that makes them feel connected and productive, even when you're not in the same room.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. And for managers who are willing to take on that challenge, the rewards can be huge,
Oh, yeah?
Like increased productivity, happier teams, more flexibility. It's a win-win for everyone.
It sounds like telework, when it's done right, can really change the way we work for the better.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it really does feel like we're seeing a big shift in how we think about leadership,
Uh-huh.
It's less about being the boss in the corner office and more about creating this thriving online environment
Right.
where everyone feels connected and like they can do their best work.
Yeah, it is really exciting to see that happening,
Yeah.
Telework gives us a chance to rethink all those old assumptions and try new approaches. It really does have the potential to change things for the better.
So to recap for our listener today,
Yeah.
what really makes managers decide to go all in on telework? It's not as simple as just having the right tech, is it?
No, definitely not.
What is it then?
Well, this study showed us that it's a mix of things,
Okay.
like how they see telework, what skills they have, even some social pressure.
Right.
Managers who get the benefits of telework, who feel confident leading a remote team and see other successful companies doing it, they're way more likely to become telework champions themselves.
So it's kind of like a snowball effect.
Yeah, exactly.
The more managers do it well, the more normal it becomes, and then even more people want to try it.
Exactly. Yeah. And that momentum is definitely building, really fast.
Yeah.
The future of work is flexible, and telework is a huge part of that.
Absolutely. We've covered a lot today, but there's one question we want to leave you with, listener. Think about your own workplace. What would it take for your manager to really become a telework champion?
And if you're the manager, where do you stand on all this? All these skills and beliefs we talked about.
Yeah.
Are you ready to lead a remote team?
Yeah.
To take on those challenges and opportunities?
This is where the rubber meets the road, right?
Yeah.
We encourage you to think about what we discussed today and how it applies to you, your own work situation.
Yeah.
Maybe it's time to start a conversation with your manager or look for some training or even just shift your own mindset.
Yeah, and telework might not be the perfect fit for every situation, but understanding why some people embrace it,
Right.
that can help all of us figure out this new world of work.
That's a great point. Well, thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of telework and management.
Thanks for having me.
We hope you learned some valuable insights today.
Yeah.
And until next time, take care.